welcome to the official podcast of Jonesboro Wrestling. This is Robert Red, joined today by my friend D. Chris Smith. How you doing today, D?
Fly, crispy. Don't make fun of Johnny anymore. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Well, I'm so excited to be back. As you know, we haven't done a podcast here in a few weeks, so we figured we would do one with it being WrestleMania season, everything that's going on in the world of professional wrestling, especially here in Arkansas. So, if you guys have listened to our podcast, we start off by doing a review of Raw, Impact, and SmackDown. So, D, let's start with the Raw. What was kind of your memorable moments of Raw that really kind of stuck out to you?
Wow. Other than a phenomenal show, and other than the deck being stacked against Braun, the show stealer for me, Cesaro Cena. That, to me, can't top it.
I mean, that was a good match. I mean, I was surprised. And I know you and me don't agree when it comes to Cena, but, I mean, that was a good match. And really, that goes to show that I don't think it's necessarily Cena's good. He's just working with all these guys that can bring a good match out of Cena. So that was a good moment, too. Can't deny that was a great match. Probably my favorite moment.
Match of the year in my case.
Well, probably my favorite moment is going to be the end of it where at the all-out brawl. And that's kind of, I mean, it's almost cliche because that's something they usually do right before the Royal Rumble, not before the Elimination Chamber. So, I mean, that was a little odd to me. Kind of what was your take on that?
Well, I think it was probably, it should have ended the way that it did, and I was glad that it did. Oh, and you cannot forget Shield Wyatts. Now that will be a barn burner. I hope they live up the expectations at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that match. It's probably one of the most anticipated matches I'm looking for at Chamber. Obviously, the Chamber match itself, just to see what direction they go with it. And I kind of, while we're on it, kind of who's your pick to walk out the Chamber champion? First off, who do you want to walk out of the Chamber as champion? And then, who do you think WWE is going to actually let walk out of the Chamber as WWE champion?
Maybe if WWE was smart, either Daniel Bryan, Cena, or Cesaro.
Okay.
But even though Cesaro will be my pick.
So you're saying Cesaro. You think Cesaro is going to be the guy who's going to walk out. That's the guy you want to walk out as WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Despite the fact that it being a toss-up with Daniel Bryan, after the performance I saw from Cesaro Monday night, he literally told me, and after pinning the WWE champion on SmackDown the previous week, that tells me Cesaro's ready.
Okay. Now, who do you think's actually going to win the match? Do you think Cesaro is going to be who WWE picks to walk out as champion, or do you think they're going to go in a different direction?
If Bryan, Cesaro, or Cena don't win, Orton may end up breaking the curse. He may end up finally winning one. And as crazy as it sounds to say it, but Orton may end up somehow being the squeaky grease that gets the wheel.
Yeah.
Because he has not won. He's 0-5. But this could be the year that he finally breaks it. But I don't think they really want to see Orton versus Batista at Mania. But that's a different story for a different day.
Yeah, well, I mean, my pick, and I mean, this goes without saying, I mean, this is like beating the horse to death, but I mean, as popular as Daniel Bryan is, and this was kind of something I think I was discussing with my friend last night, is it's Daniel Bryan's time. He is your hottest superstar, and it's something we're going to discuss later in our discussion topics, but I feel he needs to be the guy who walks out of the Chamber. That would be my pick, hands down. You need to let Daniel Bryan in that title picture and make it a three-way. But I'm scared with all the losses Randy Orton has taken recently. WWE is going to give us what we don't want to see as the main event, or the title match, I should say, and make it Randy Orton and Batista. But we've kind of dwelled enough on that, so let's kind of move on to Impact. D, kind of what's your memorable moment from Impact from Thursday? And you better go with who I'm picking. Ooh, the Cowboy, the segment at the end, the main event.
Cowboy. So he literally was the dark horse topic, even though Samoa Joe, he just demolished the tag team champs and the guy who's supposed to be the #1 contender to the X Division championship. I mean, he completely demolished him, but I got to give Gunner some credit. Gunner really put on an incredible performance. But Magnus knows how to finish the job. I mean, you can say what you want about Magnus. Everything happening controversially. But Magnus knows how to put together the winning combination. And look at with everything that went down, Storm, and everybody can say, oh, this is a big beef Storm trying to get back in. No, it's all about the world championship. Any way to get it, how you get it. The Bobby Roode approach.
Okay. I'm surprised you weren't going with what my pick was. I mean, that was a great way to end the show, but Wolves and Bad Influence, to me, I mean, you had, granted, maybe the match wasn't a memorable match, but just seeing those two great teams going together.
I mean, probably because I know what the Wolves can do.
Yeah.
And granted, they're exposed in front of a worldwide audience, but there's a big difference between being exposed on HDNet and being exposed on Spike TV. There's a major difference. So, granted, I give them their props. I would like to see a lot more of them as much as you do.
Okay, well, we've kind of ran over the length I wanted to do. So
let's go SmackDown.
Let's go to SmackDown, and then we'll go to a quick commercial break, and so let's SmackDown. D, what last night just happened? Kind of anything memorable you want to talk about from SmackDown last night?
Christian Sheamus really overseeded my expectations.
Okay, so
they really did.
Nothing really memorable to talk about SmackDown other than the main event.
Other than, if I'm the Usos, and granted this may be the sleeper match that steals the show at Elimination Chamber, if I'm Usos, it's a big difference between getting the big wins on national TV and getting the big wins on pay-per-view where it really matters with the money matches. They better win.
I know you've been pushing for them to take the tag titles, and I mean, I would love to see them as tag champs because, like I know you've already mentioned, they've been overlooked. But that's kind of enough for this segment. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be back with our 3 discussion topics. So we'll see you guys after this quick commercial break. And we're back with the Power of Pro Wrestling. I'm still here with D. Chris Smith. So, D, you ready to do our discussion questions?
Man, we ain't got to waste no time, man. Let's roll with it, man, because this is something that you should be talking about at home.
Oh, yes. I mean, we are doing some major discussion questions. Now, question number 1, D, you want to read it off? That way we can kind of kick it off.
Oh, man.
I think we're discussing the network first, if I remember correctly.
Well, actually, it's not so much of the network. It's actually concerns the pay-per-view companies. Should the price of pay-per-view
Are you looking to grow your business?
For television.
If you are, well, then you're in luck. We here at Jonesboro Wrestling are looking for sponsors for our weekly podcast, The Power of Pro Wrestling. If you are interested in sponsoring this, you can tweet me at Robert Red Jr., or you can contact me via email at jonesborowrestling@gmail.com. Once again, you can contact me at jonesborowrestling@gmail.com. Providers of pay-per-view. So, I mean, if you really look at pay-per-view prices, look at what pay-per-view prices are now, like Royal Rumble and TNA, probably Lockdown, how much they actually are if you were to buy them through cable and satellite, versus like with the WWE Network, you're getting pay-per-views for $10 a month. So I really think to attract an audience, if it's going to be a viable business for cable and satellite, I think they definitely should lower their prices of pay-per-view if they want to be competitive, because that's going to be lost revenue for them if they don't.
Especially with what happened with Dish Network. Especially Dish deciding to drop WWE pay-per-views.
Yeah, that's going to hurt. Chamber. Yeah, that's lost revenue. But I think they see the point of where I was going when the launch of the network was announced, with it being over the top, that they were going to lose revenue. And you got to realize this is a business. The bottom line is making a profit. And I think they probably decided to drop Shawn Elimination Chamber because they felt they wouldn't get a lot of pay-per-view buys, especially with the network launch being the next day.
Well, I think it's a little bit before the network, And if you go back and look at the revenue numbers, just off Dish Network only, as far as their pay-per-view buys is concerned, as far as WWE and elsewhere, WWE's has been down.
Yeah, they have been slumping, like you have mentioned.
And here's the thing. You pay the same price, but I would prefer a wrestling pay-per-view over all the other pay-per-views for this simple reason.
Mm-hmm.
All the other pay-per-views have to be 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good
and no fillers. Wrestling pay-per-views 3 hours, and the price of pay-per-view for 3 hours is the same price for the pay-per-views of 2 hours. And you folks at home know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't think we have to mention anybody on this one. So, kind of let's move on to our second question. I know you and me have been foaming at the mouth to discuss this, so go ahead and read it off for them.
With the return of Lockdown, that being an all-steel cage pay-per-view,
mm-hmm.
and now it's been officially announced, not on Spike yet, April will be the return of Sacrifice. It will be a Sunday pay-per-view, April 27th. The six-sided ring. Should TNA bring it back?
Well, I think we are going to definitely agree. This is going to be a definite, yes, they need to bring back the six-sided ring. I think TNA was most prosperous and was in the best time in company history when they had the six-sided ring. With Lockdown, a four-sided steel cage, that's passe. WWE has been doing that forever.
So has all the other companies.
Yeah, so I mean, a six-sided steel match, to me, it just made everything that much better. It took the company to a higher level. A lot of people look at it as being a gimmick or a promotion, but it helps help TNA set themselves apart from WWE, especially right now.
Be different.
Yeah, they're WWE Light. Their storyline, essentially Magnus and Dixie Carter, are just Triple H and Randy Orton. It's just a copycat promotion. So TNA really needs to do something to set themselves apart, and that's why I think they should go back to the six-sided ring.
And to me, I think it should go back to six-sided ring for this simple reason only. It attracted Fox Sports Net in 2004. They debuted June 4th, 2004 with the six-sided ring. They didn't debut with the four sides. They debuted six-side. Look what attracted them to Spike. All due respect to the in-ring competitors, because you and I are big fan of in-ring competitors and hard-working competitors that get the job done. But if you got to be different, if you want to be different than everybody else, the six-sided ring attracted Spike TV to TNA. And Mike Tenay said it best. For those of you viewing the TNA product for the first time, yes, you're witnessing the six-sided ring. It's hexagon, not only is it eye-catching, but it provides more options to use high risk or anything. It provides a lot more options. And you mentioned the six-sided cage earlier. Look what that would do. You add 2 additional sides to it. The sides are smaller, but no give in that cage.
Yeah.
Excellent question.
And I mean, not only do we apply that to Lockdown, but I mean, you bring the six-sided ring back, King of the Mountain. King of the Mountain's been missing another great gimmick match TNA had. We had Slammiversary pay-per-view. So, I mean, you get to return a lot of these great gimmick matches TNA had. You get to restore them to prominence, and it will...
And you can put more butts in seats.
Yeah. Because, I mean, TNA, obviously, their attendance has been slumping.
Oh, but this one, we gotta go to the next question.
Bar
none of all questions, this one goes past pro wrestling.
Yeah.
This one entered professional sports, especially with what happened with ESPN and USA Today, especially USA Today, talking with Daniel Bryan and Stephanie McMahon. Here's the question.
Go ahead and read the question for our listeners. They're going to love this.
Has Daniel Bryan transcended sports?
Well, I can say he has transcended pro wrestling, and
wrestling, yes.
And if you look at the sports games, all these professional teams, fans, everybody are doing the yes chant, and that goes back to
the yes movement.
It's the yes movement is what he's been deemed. If you go back to what I was talking about earlier and who I think should win the Elimination Chamber, I mean, if you have a guy that is that popular that he is going past just being a WWE popular guy to where professional sports are quoted.
And it's mostly college teams. And mostly college teams, sorry to cut you off, but it's mostly college teams because here's the thing. If you're being shown worldwide on every single ESPN network and you got ravenous, crazy fans who are passionate about their team and they're literally up in the air out of their seats going, yes, 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 tell me that goes beyond pro wrestling as far as fan involvement and passionate for your product is concerned.
I mean, he has definitely transcended pro wrestling and breaking into the mainstream sports. It's good for Daniel Bryan because it lets people know who Daniel Bryan is. It's good for the WWE because they're getting exposure and they are always wanting more eyes on the products. I mean, and it's great. And I mean, it's a great visual for TV for your fans who are watching or someone who may be watching for the first time. When you have Daniel Bryan and all the fans doing yes, like I remember, like the
because they're not doing that. They're not doing that with LeBron James or the Miami Heat. Granted, they're popular, but Daniel Bryan's way more popular than them.
Yeah, and I'm not hating on basketball fans. I'm not hating on any other sports fans, but they wish they could have that kind of popularity and transcend sports like that or transcend their profession. Like you mentioned LeBron James, I guarantee he wishes he could be that popular to where he could transcend basketball and not be necessarily a basketball star, but be like Michael Jordan used to be. Because, I mean, Michael Jordan, if you look back in the day, and I know this is a wrestling podcast, but a lot of...
But it goes with this question.
Yeah. Space Jam, he transcended just being a basketball player.
Exactly.
So, I mean, Daniel Bryan definitely
beating
dead horse.
It's just like Kane transcended horror movies. John Cena kind of did a little bit of the opposite, but still, even on this question, and even CM Punk, and Paul Heyman. Now you got to credit a lot of this to Paul Heyman too, because Paul Heyman helped transcended wrestling. So technically, that goes along with this question too, because Bryan has really turned professional sports on its ear right now.
Yeah, and I mean, and he is definitely a draw.
He is.
So. That's really all the time we have for this segment. So
sorry, we have to cut that short.
Yeah, we have to cut it short.
Discuss it at home with your family.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely. And if you guys want have feedback about our show, like you want to weigh in on our discussion questions, feel free to tweet us.
Drop it like it's hot.
Or Facebook us, we'll definitely discuss it on the air. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and Dee is going to do our infamous Indie Spotlight.
You're going to love this one. And, ladies, if you're listening, when we come back from this break, here's something that you might want to hear, and it concerns wrestling. Stay tuned.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Are you looking to grow your business? If you are, well, then you're in luck. We here at Jonesboro Wrestling are looking for sponsors for our weekly podcast, The Power of Pro Wrestling. If you are interested in sponsoring this, you can tweet me at Robert Red Jr., or you can contact me via email at jonesborowrestling@gmail.com. Once again, you can contact me at jonesborowrestling@gmail.com. And we're back with our final segment of The Power of Pro Wrestling. I'm still here with my friend D. Chris Smith.
Hi, y'all.
And with this segment, this is the infamous Indie Spotlight. Now, we did say before break, especially you ladies, you want to be listening to the Indie Spotlight. Now, I know generally professional wrestling, and you see a lot of males in the sport, so this one's going to be for the ladies, D. So I'm going to let you take it away and take your time with this one.
Hi, ladies. How y'all doing? The Indie Spotlight. Shimmer. Yes, now known as Shimmer's Women's Athletes. Excuse me. Of course, company started in Chicago around 2005. As a matter of fact, the headquarters is Berwyn, Illinois. One of the suburbs of Chicago. Hopefully, I'm not sure about that. But started 2005 by Allison Danger, which a lot of people, if you watch wrestling or even in the independents or even if you watch Ring of Honor, you will normally see Allison Danger, especially in Ring of Honor's past. Also, Dave Prazak, who is now the current play-by-play individual for Shimmer and was also a former commentator for Ring of Honor Wrestling, even for Ring of Honor on HDNet and some of the internet pay-per-views. I mean, you may remember Dave Prazak. I mean, dude is awesome. But Prazak and Danger were the first to start Shimmer's Women's Athletes and made his real pay-per-view debut, internet pay-per-view debut, on July 20th of 2 years ago, 2012. And, my gosh, you want to talk about a laundry list of individuals that have competed in Shimmer. First off, the current champion is cheerleader Melissa. The current tag champs are Global Green Gangsters, or 3G, featuring Kelly Skater and wow, and Nakagawa. Now, those ladies are phenomenally awesome, but you want to talk about some alumni or current individuals right now that are currently competing for the company? I'll throw some names at you that you may have seen on television. Mischief, Mercedes Martinez, Heidi Lovelace, Christina Vairi, of course, Mischief, Veda Scott, Soraya Knight. I mean, a laundry list, but here's some names that you may remember, but might not remember them competing in this company. How about Natalie, known as Natalie Neidhart? She competed for this company. Lexi Fox competed in this company. Ooh, you know Emma from NXT. She also competed in this company as well. Daisy Hayes, Daphne. My gosh, a massive laundry list. Oh, you cannot leave this individual out, because many people have claimed her to be one of the best wrestlers on the planet, best female wrestlers on the planet today. Sarah Del Rey. In UTNA individuals, how about the lady known as Amazing Kong, now known as Awesome Kong? My gosh, and if you want any more information concerning Shimmer, why don't you hook up their website, shimmerwrestling.blogspot.com. And if you're watching Ring of Honor, or you've been keeping up with Ring of Honor from past, present, don't worry. You'll see some of these Shimmer athletes and some of the other women athletes on their television shows, their live events, and maybe even their video on demand or their pay-per-views. And that is Shimmer, ladies.
Well, thank you, Dee, for our Indie Spotlight with Shimmer. Well, that's really all the time we have for this episode of the Power of Pro Wrestling.
That is sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that we're out of time, but we'll catch you
Gotta pay the
guys.
bills.
Check us out online, on social media. I want to thank you guys for listening. Also, to close us out, if you want to sponsor us, you can hit us up on our website, hit us up via social media, and we'll gladly do a sponsor. A sponsor page is actually going to be probably added very, very soon. If you guys want to sponsor us, check out our website and check out our social media. But this has been Robert Red, and that's my friend D. Chris Smith, and we want to thank you for joining us for the Power of Pro Wrestling.
Appreciate you.